Hello and happy Thanksgiving, and welcome back to another episode of The Dribble, the show where we take a closer look into the Boston Celtics, the rest of the NBA, and whatever else might come up. My name is Luke Irwin, and I am your host. Today's episode, we have a little bit of a shorter one, but it is going to be a little bit different from previous episodes. The Celtics had a pretty abysmal week this week. If you watched them, if you did not, I will explain why. Today, we're going to play a little three-man weave with the Celtics. I'll explain that. We're thankful for defense, some injury updates, and like I said, an overall recap of an unsensational week for the C's. Then, when you hear this noise, that means it's time to shut up about the Celtics, right? It's time to talk about the rest of the NBA. Hope's Hotel has a big holiday rush, a lot of changes, a lot of people in, a lot of people out, a lot of unexpected teams making it in. Super exciting. And then we're going to lose just a little bit more money on Major Wager. Plus, as I do every week, we're going to take a look at the upcoming week in the NBA, games to look out for, plus, of course, the upcoming schedule for the Boston Celtics. So, yeah, so much to get into. And I suggest we do. Because this is the Dribble. Okay, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Just wanted to say that. Make sure everybody's full of love, thankfulness, turkey, and pretty bad basketball on the Celtics' part. This was a bad week, and especially the game after Thanksgiving was a bad game against the Magic. There's not too much to say other than we've had some old habits die hard. Some of the reasons that we lost against Charlotte this week and some of the reasons we lost against the Magic this week looked like problems the Celtics had last year that I thought we had kind of eradicated. But with some injury woes, those issues have bubbled back up to the surface. So we don't love to see that. But we'll get into all of that, trust me. What I want to do is I want to play a new segment, new game, if you want to call it that, called Three-Man Weave, where I'm going to basically talk about three things that I really liked in this past week and three things that I really did not like. I'm going to do one up and one down. One up, one down, until I have three ups and three downs. Three-man weave. So let's go ahead and start. The first up, the first thing that I liked in this past week for the Celtics was Jason Tatum calling out his monster game against Charlotte. We didn't win the game, but he did have a really cool moment a few months before. I don't know if you saw this. I'll put the video up here in a little bit. But Jason Tatum kind of went viral when asked about stars resting in the NBA and the NBA's new implementation of a rule where you get fined for resting stars in games. And basically he said, look, I try to play all 82 if I can. There's plenty of people who can't afford a ticket. This is like their one big splurge. Maybe it's a birthday present for a kid. Maybe it's a Christmas present, something like that. And first of all, we all love that. We love to see that mentality, especially from our star. That means he has grit. He wants to play basketball. He's not just trying to save himself for the playoffs. And he also understands that this is something that the fans are here to see. They're here to see him play. So I'm going to play the clip real quick of him saying this and check this out.
I only get to go to Charlotte 2 times a year. Somebody paid their money to come watch me play. Like, not trying to be arrogant, like it's a bunch of kids in there, my shoes and my jersey. And just because we playing Charlotte on NBA League Pass on a Monday, but ain't nobody watching it, I'm chilling tonight. That's not what the great players, the best players do.
So yeah, I don't think the schedule had come out, so he wasn't actually calling out this game. But even so, it's just a cool coincidence that he called out, Monday night, Charlotte, NBA Game Pass, a game that doesn't really matter typically. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to put on a show for my people. And he was there, and he put on a show. Obviously, we can see what he had here. I'm going to pull up his stats as well. JT, Monday night in Charlotte, 45 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, and he shot 54% from the field. He also had 2 blocks in this game, but he had a Monday night in Charlotte, and he called it out. And so that's my first up for Three-Man Weave. I think it's really cool that a few months ago he called this game out randomly, coincidence, whatever. But then when the Monday night in Charlotte came and it was time for him to prove what he said on that little viral clip, he did. He came through. He put on a show for all those fans there, wearing his jersey, there to see him play. He followed through, and that's some legendary stuff. I really like to see that. That's some good competitive nature. So that's my first up in the three-man weave. Let's give my first down in the three-man weave, something that I did not like to see this past week. And it was that same game against Charlotte. We lost that game, and it was a really abysmal loss. We lost it because of free throws. That's the one thing about this, right, that really nailed it for me, was we played fine down the stretch, but in the end, we just had to hit a couple free throws from Drew Holiday, maybe even just one, we would have won the game. But he can't hit the first, and then he can't hit the second, misses 2 free throws, and he's a good free throw shooter. And we lose this game. Celtics 118, Hornets 121 in overtime. We had a lot of missed layups. Tatum had a late missed layup. Of course, like I said, missed free throws. 5 missed free throws in the final 30 seconds of regulation and all of overtime. Tatum missed, of course, the last free throw, the game-tying free throw to push it maybe into a second overtime. He misses the free throw, but again, you can't blame him. 45 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists. Like I said, he had a monster game. There was no Derek White in this game, so we were a little bit undermanned. That's a theme this week. Pretty much all week, we were undermanned at some point. And one thing that I found interesting in this game is that all 5 of our starters were in the negative in plus minus. And 3 of our 5 starters were with a minus of 20 or higher or lower or whatever you want to say, minus 25 or minus 22. 3 of our 5 starters, which was very interesting because our starters, like I've shown in the past, our plus minus for our starters have been really high, really good, efficient. So that was something that was a little bit out of the ordinary. But then also what was weird was all of our bench players in an overtime loss, had positive plus minus, which is really strange. Brissett had a plus 17, really high plus minus. Cornette with a plus 25 out of nowhere. Cornette with a plus 25. Pritchard with a plus 16, and Mikhailuk with a plus 7. So yeah, that's just a little bit strange. Our bench had a total, in an overtime loss, had a total of plus 65. That's really good. And our starters, the best starting 5 in the league, or maybe the best starting 5 in the league, had a minus 70 total. So it doesn't really add up. It's kind of weird that they had a minus 70 and our bench had a plus 65. But this game, like I said, was lost on the free throws, missed, a little bit weird. And then also LaMelo Ball has been balling out, pun definitely intended. He had 36, 9, and 8, a near triple-double in this game. He had the game-tying field goal in the end of regulation to push it to overtime. Miles Bridges hit the game-winning 3 at the end, and that kind of just sealed the deal. But it was a good, hard-fought game, and like I said, some good stuff there. So that was my first down of the 3-man weave. First up was Tatum calling his game. First down was the game itself. Was a little bit abysmal. Let's go for the second up in 3-man weave. The second up is the Porzee-Brown connection. It's looking really good, especially in that Bucks game. Jaylen Brown had 8 assists in that game. Like I said in last week's episode, seeing Brown work a 2-man game with someone is not something that we're used to seeing as Celtics fans. So if him and Porzee can really figure that out, and they have. I mean, they are doing dribble handoffs up at the top of the key. They're doing small pick and rolls that go nowhere, just into another pick and roll with themselves. Like they're really playing with a lot of fluidity together, and they're getting up for alley-oops. They're getting back for backdoor cuts. KP had a beautiful pass on the backdoor cut for JB, came around with the windmill against the Bucks, and that was just a beautiful pass, and that's just chemistry. Porzee had passed that ball before Jaylen Brown had been open. He just knew JB was going to make that move. Porzee pocket pass, windmill, dunk. It's just great. Great to see him finally have a connection with another player on the team to play a little 2-man game. So that's my second up. My second down, my second thing I did not like in this past week for the Celtics in the 3-man weave is, again, Porzee out with a calf strain. So they're not really going to be able to practice that 2-man game too much since Porzee is now out with a calf strain. We don't know the severity of it yet. He stretches the floor so much for us. He opens up the floor. He plays perimeter defense that's really great, but he's so good at protecting the paint. And then as far as offensively, we saw it in the Orlando game. Without him on the floor, it gets congested in the middle, and that's really not good. Tatum can't be as effective. Tatum can't play inside out like we like him to play. Porzee really opens that up for everybody, and we saw it against the Magic. It just completely left us with no spacing on the floor. So that's not a good sign. Hopefully it's just, a little bit of soreness, maybe a little strain. A week he's out, maybe week or 2, but let's make sure to get him fully rested because I don't want to lose him for any other time. Please, Porzee, get better. Please, we need you. Okay, so that was my second down in 3-man weave. Let's do my third and final up. The third and final thing that I really liked this week from the Celtics was the Celtics beat the Bucks. That's what it is. The Celtics beat the Bucks. This was circled on my calendar, and a lot of Celtics fans had this circled. Drew Holiday had it circled. But this was a fantastic game. We won wire to wire from the get-go. We were shooting threes, shooting good threes, getting open passes, playing great defense. And speaking of defense, I'm really thankful for our defense. Milwaukee's defense is so porous and so bad, especially their perimeter defense, which against teams like us is going to make them suffer because we are a great perimeter scoring team. But their defense is nothing. They have Brook Lopez. If you get Brook Lopez out of the paint and you have Giannis having to guard a perimeter shooter, they have nobody in the middle besides Bobby Portis, he's really good. But I just felt like we exploited their lack of perimeter defense. Sure, Damian Lillard got hot in the fourth, kept it a little closer near the end, but we were up by 15 to 20 the whole game, and Damian Lillard is a liability on the defensive end. Yeah, like I said, he got hot, but I'd rather take a poor Bucks defense than a really strong Bucks defense with some solid scorers. And then obviously Middleton looks old. I think the injuries really gotten to him, but he just does not look the same. Defensively, he was taken advantage of. And then on the offensive end, every time he had the ball, I didn't really feel threatened by him scoring. Let's take a look at the box score for that game real quick. The Stars, JT had 23 and Giannis had only 21. Giannis did have 13 rebounds. JT had 11 rebounds. So they had a pretty comparable game to each other throughout the whole entire game. Neither of them shined necessarily. Jaylen Brown certainly did shine. He had 8 assists, like I mentioned before in this game. He was playing really good. His playmaking was really excellent, and his two-man game with Porzingis was great. He also led the team with 26 points. We had 3 people with 20-plus points in Tatum, Porzingis, and Brown. Like I said, wire-to-wire victory. So that is the third and final up for this week. Now, the third and final down of three-man weave in this week. This was a big down. I have a lot to say about this. The Magic game. That's the third down in three-man weave. The third and final down is the Magic game. What are we doing out there? This game, we got punked by the Magic, absolutely. We got out-hustled, we got outworked, outmanned, out-finessed, we got out everything. This was an in-season tournament game, so before I go into this, I want to admit, it's tough to admit, but Adam Silver, come here, Adam. You're right. The in-season tournament is a great idea. And I was sitting there at 2:30 in the afternoon, the day after stuffing my face with turkey on Black Friday, neglecting to go to the mall and get trampled. I was watching this game, and Playoff Lukey was coming to town. Playoff Lukey was watching this game. I was angry. Every single possession mattered to me as a fan. And that's all kudos to the in-season tournament. Because if this was a game that was just a regular season game against Orlando on a Friday after a holiday, I probably wouldn't even watch. I'd watch the highlights, check out the box score. But this was a game I wanted to win. So yeah, major kudos to the NBA. It had me sweating this whole entire game. It had me really watching every possession, which I think is the point of the in-season tournament, ramping up the competition. But we lost. And like I said, we got punked by the Magic, absolutely. We only shot 29 threes in this game, which is a season low. We have not shot that few threes. And we only shot them at a 24% clip. That means we shot 29 and we only made 7 of the three-pointers. So not enough three-point shots going up and certainly not enough three-point shots making. The 7 three-point shots made is also a season low for the C's. But here's the kicker. We only took 29 threes and we only made 7. But they also the Magic scored 60 points in the paint to our 40. So we only made 7 threes and we only scored 40 points in the paint. We got outscored by 20 points in the paint. Magic had 60. We only had 40. So if we're not making threes and we're not going to the basket, we're not going to win the game. That's as simple as that is. And that's what it looked like. A lot of settling for shots, a lot of settling for mid-range shots. Of course, Holiday was out with a sprained ankle in this game, and Porzingis late in the game was out. He got taken out of the game. He did not look good. Derek White took a nasty spill and was kind of in and out for a little bit and didn't play his best. So we were injury-ridden. It makes sense. We weren't whole. But one thing I've noticed with this team is that if any one or two of the starters is out or not fully healthy, we have trouble getting the motor going. And I know it's a new team and we lost some solid pieces over the offseason. We look so good when our full roster is intact. But anytime that we have one or two starters out, the opposite is true. We cannot find our rhythm, find our spacing, and find the right shots. It's like taking one ingredient out of baking, and all of a sudden your cookies taste like sourdough or something. Like you can't take one ingredient out of this team, or else we start playing really poorly. And of course, now we have Porzingis, a major ingredient, being taken out of this. And so we'll see what happens over the next couple of days. It'll be interesting to see what we end up doing. But like I said, it came down to hustle. We got out hustled, we got punked. And whenever you're looking at hustle and whenever you're looking at a team being outplayed, you got to look at rebounds. And we got completely annihilated on the boards, which all season we've been beating teams on the boards. And this game, we lost in the boards game, we lost 48-31. So yeah, that's 17 more possessions that were taken in by the Magic than us. That's 17 rebounds, 17 more taking of possession by the Magic. And the Magic also had 13 offensive rebounds. Again, hustle. Say it with me. Hustle. You didn't do it. Like I said, say it with me. 1, 2, 3. Hustle. That's hustle. That is complete determination. They had 13 offensive rebounds and we had 4 offensive rebounds. Again, that means that they had 9 extra offensive possessions right off the rip from offensive rebounds in this game. Also in this game, Magic went on a 17-0 run in the third quarter. We were up by 12, and then the Magic went on a 17-0 run, and Joe Mazzulla called this many timeouts, 0 timeouts in that time. I get it. He wants to let them play, but this is the NBA. Both teams are really good. You cannot just let a 17-0 run go like that. I know we all complain about Joe not calling timeouts, but this was egregious. This was in their building, crowd going crazy, 17-0 run. He didn't call a timeout. And all of this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum needs to be more aggressive in these games. Drew Holiday is out. Porzingis is hurt. Derek White went down. Brown isn't playing well. The team isn't playing well. You're not shooting enough threes. The Magic are punking you. Mo Wagner had 27 points in this game, but while he was doing the 27 points, he was running by, screaming near Tatum, screaming in their faces, way more competitive, pounding his chest. And I know that Tatum loves Kobe and loves MJ, but he doesn't have that mentality. In games like this, I want to see him go, no, screw that. Mo Wagner, who the hell is Mo Wagner? He's talking trash, he's pounding his chest, he's punking us, he's outplaying me in every single way of the game. No, I'm not having it. Then you take over. And that's what we haven't seen. Tatum is still fourth quarter, 6 minutes left. Game's still in the reach. We're only down by 10. And he's just like grabbing the rebound and just passing it to Peyton Pritchard and then going and sitting in the corner. And it's like, Tatum, no. Peyton Pritchard is nowhere near as good as you. The one-on-one elbow by Peyton Pritchard, which was basically the entire fourth quarter. It seemed like Peyton Pritchard one-on-one versus like 2 defenders was our offense. When it's not like Jason Tatum was hurt. He was out there. He has to play better, and he has to actually be asking for the ball. Seeing him sit in the corner with his hands on his knees, that thing that he does, where just this. He just does this, sitting in the corner, and he doesn't go and get the ball, even though we're losing. We're down by 10, and he's the only good player on the floor, and the only player that can take us out of this and win this game for the in-season tournament and a chance to clinch the group and clinch our group and go into Vegas to play for the NBA Cup, which is a trophy, another thing to show the NBA, hey, look at us, we're the best in the league. Don't you want to fight for that? But it didn't seem like there was any fight. Mo Wagner pounding his chest, screaming, easy layups. He got 1 million layups and 1 million offensive rebounds in this game. It just was relentless, and it seemed like Tatum didn't care. It seemed like we didn't care. We were like, whatever, walking the ball up, grab it, pass it. Where's the competitive nature? You know, I just one time, I want to see Tatum go, no, screw that. Mo Wagner, you think you're eating? I'm going to eat. But he didn't. Maybe he had too much to eat on Thanksgiving, and he wasn't full. He couldn't eat it at the Magic. But so anyway, that's 3-man weave. 3 things I liked, 3 things that I did not like. 3 things I liked were Tatum calling out his performance, the Porzingis and Brown connection, and then us beating the Bucks in a big statement win in the East. 3 things I did not like, 3 things that were down in this week for 3-man weave was the overall performance and against the Hornets, the injury from Porzingis, and then the way that the Celtics and especially Jason Tatum did not compete against the Magic in an in-season tournament game that could have clinched it. Yeah, look. Oh. All right, you know what that means? That means it is time to stop talking about the Celtics. Time to shut up about the Celtics, Luke. Stop talking about the Celtics. It is time to talk about the rest of the NBA. So I just want to dive right into Hopes Hotel, get into the Hopes Hotel, which is the tier ranking where I place teams in the Hopes Hotel based off where I think their title hopes are, hence the name Hopes Hotel. All the teams get ranked and they get put in the parking lot, no hopes, all the way to the penthouse, high hopes. So let's go ahead and let's start with the parking lot, bring it up. Okay, so no changes with the parking lot. We have the same exact teams. We have the Detroit Pistons. They're the worst team in the league, in my opinion. They got the bottle of wine. They got the cigarette. They're on their way looking for the bus, trying to get out of there. And then we have the Washington Wizards, the Chicago Bulls, the Utah Jazz, the Portland Trailblazers, the Charlotte Hornets, the Toronto Raptors, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the San Antonio Spurs. As far as title hopes go, no title hopes. You are the parking lot teams, and you have no hopes. But let's move on to the main attraction, the actual Hopes Hotel. Give me the Hopes Hotel. Boom! There it is in all of its glory, looking beautiful. Let's go ahead and reveal the lobby teams. There's some new teams here. Okay, so these are my lobby teams. I have the Warriors, the Rockets, the Nets, the Knicks, the Pelicans, the Cavaliers, the Clippers, the Kings, and the Hawks. So the only new team here that we have are the Kings. They've lost 2 of their last 3 they lost 2 straight to the Pelicans, who aren't a great team. But you know, they are coming off of a high win streak. And then they did pull out a win against the Timberwolves, who have been playing really well. So the Kings are certainly formidable. They're going to be a team that's going to be bouncing lobby, suite, standard room, lobby, standard room, back and forth. The Warriors are still reeling. The Rockets, they look really good. They don't deserve a standard room yet, but they certainly don't deserve to be in the parking lot. They're playing great. The Nets, like I said last week, have shown some friskiness. And then the Clippers, I say it every single week, the Clippers are the 2018 All-NBA team. You know, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, all of them on the 2018 All-NBA team. Now they're all on this team in 2023, and none of them can figure it out, and now it's just James Harden's show. And then the Hawks, still frisky. You know, Trae Young can go off any given night. But let's go ahead, and the reason why we had the Kings down here is because I wanted to create room for another team to be up in a standard room. Let's go ahead and show it. Boom! That other room is the Magic. The Magic have the newest standard room. They are a new addition to this standard room selection. These guys have just a little bit of hope in the title, Hopes Hotel. So all of these teams, I'll read them out. We have the Pacers, the Thunder, the Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. The 2 new teams here are the Magic and the Lakers. So the Magic, they beat some of the best teams in the league. They have a 6-game winning streak right now, and in that 6-game winning streak, they've beaten some really great teams. Yes, they beat the Celtics. We already talked about it. Hate the way the Celtics played, but to give the Magic their credit, they played really well. They were forcing the pace, they were forcing the issues, they were hustling, rebounding, and they were getting into the paint. They had 60 paint points against the Boston Celtics. During the 6-game winning streak, they've also beaten the Denver Nuggets, the 2 teams who have been atop the penthouse for the longest time. So they've beaten 2 of the best teams in the entire league. That cannot go unnoticed with them. I did say in the beginning of the season, maybe I'll pull it up here, that I think the Magic are frisky. They have the 2nd best record in the East also. I mean, again, above Philadelphia, above the Bucks. The Magic have been a huge surprise. And also, something that was super surprising to me, they're number 1 in defensive rating, and they're number 6 in net rating this season. That's so unexpected. That's so number 1 in defensive rating. You would think maybe a defensive juggernaut like the Timberwolves or even the Celtics with the perimeter defenders they have. But they are number 1. The Orlando Magic hold the number 1 defensive rating spot in the league right now, and they have number 6 in net rating. So for that, they get a standard room, well-deserved, and maybe they'll move on. The other new team in the standard rooms, they've actually dropped down a spot from the suites, are the Los Angeles Lakers. Again, I had to make room in the suites. There's a team that deserves to be up there. So those standard room teams, again, those are the Pacers, playing really well. The Thunder, Chet Holmgren, I think he's going to be Rookie of the Year, even though maybe Wemby already has it just because it's a media award, and Wemby is the most talked about player in the NBA right now. And then the Lakers, and then the Magic, and then the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are always a threat. Jimmy playing great, Bam playing great. We talked about it last week. They are a scary team, no matter what their record is. So watch out for them. Let's go ahead and move into the suites, the magic little suites. Let's go ahead and do this. All right. Boom. Yeah. So new teams in the suites. We have the Denver Nuggets. Yes, you're seeing that correctly. The Denver Nuggets, the Sixers, the Bucks, the Mavericks, and the Suns. Yeah. The Denver Nuggets. They've fallen from grace. They are now in a suite. And look, staying in a suite in the Hopes Hotel still means you're top 5, top 7. You know, you're right there. But they've fallen out of a suite, and for good reason. The Nuggets are now 5th in the Western Conference. They're behind the Timberwolves, the Thunder, Dallas, and the Suns. So they've fallen to fifth in the Western Conference. They've lost 5 of their last 7 games. Jokic is playing great, so their best player is playing amazing, and they're losing games. That's not a good sign for your team as far as like title contenders. Something that stood out to me, another reason I took them out of the penthouse, they're 20th in points per game. So their offense, even though Jokic is a well-oiled machine and getting everybody involved, they're 20th in points per game. I like this team, but you can't be in a penthouse when you're in the bottom barrel of the league as far as points scored per game. So we also have a new team in the suites that took the spot of the Lakers, and that is the Suns. They have, like the Magic, won 6 straight games. But KD is an early MVP candidate. He looks so great. He's playing amazing. KD's averaging 31, 7, and 6, 31 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. So he's playing really great. He just looks like KD of old. And so if he's that, and then they get some more health, Booker's seemed a little bit more healthy, actually playing in some of these games. Again, recipe. You do not want to see that team. That spells danger for the top teams in the West. If Durant looks like that and the rest of the team plays the way that they are, Nurkic has been a super solid big, especially on the offensive end. So for that, they get a suite in the Hopes Hotel. So now it is time to reveal. So those sweet teams, again, are the Nuggets, the Sixers, the Bucks, the Mavericks, and the Suns. Bucks and Sixers, great teams in the East, playing well. Both have 11-5 records. And then the Mavericks, I think Luka and Kyrie are a great tandem. They've been playing a lot together. Luka's been slumping a little bit, but I think he's going to revamp, and they still have the 3rd best record in the West. So again, for that, they still deserve a suite. Let's go ahead and move on from the suites and move on to the penthouse. We have some major shakeups in the penthouse. Let's go ahead and show it. All right. We got the Minnesota Timberwolves taking the spot of the Nuggets. We have the Timberwolves and the Celtics. And yes, you see the do not disturb sign on the Celtics. We will get into that in a second. First, let's talk about the Timberwolves. There is a new alpha wolf on top. The Timberwolves take over that penthouse spot. Ant-Man is the real deal. He is, so far. We'll have to see if this matures, but if this is who he's going to be in the playoffs, then again, this is a scary team. The Twin Towers of Towns and Gobert look really good. They look scary. They finally found a way to play defensively with each other. And then obviously, like I said, Ant-Man has that MJ mentality. If he's going to play how he's playing now in the playoffs, look out. Finally, the Celtics, like I said, they have a do not disturb sign on there. They're back there. They're in there. They're in the room. Don't worry. Right? They still own that room. But they've just been sleeping on teams and losing games they should not be losing. They're just resting up. They got the do not disturb sign. They have some injuries that they need resting. They're getting some sleep. The shades are drawn. They're resting up. They're not playing with a lot of intensity. They seem to be kind of mailing it in on some of these games. If the East was stronger, or if one of these teams, if we didn't beat the Bucks this past week, I don't think the Celtics would have a penthouse, but we beat a major contender in the Bucks, and the East is kind of the wild, wild East right now. Nobody really is taking control. So for that, the Celtics still hold the penthouse spot for the East. So yeah, that's Hope's Hotel. That's Hope's Hotel. A lot of change up. Going through it, I'll just list off the teams with a room. The teams with rooms are the Pacers, the Thunder, the Lakers, the Magic, the Heat. Those are the standard rooms. The suites, we have the Nuggets, the Sixers, the Bucks, the Mavericks, and the Suns. Those are the suites. And in the penthouse, we have the Timberwolves and the Celtics taking a nap on Do Not Disturb mode. So, those are my Hope's Hotel teams, okay? If you like it or don't like it, have suggestions, think a team deserves a room, think a team deserves to be kicked out into the parking lot, let me know. Let me know in the comments, DM me, write me a handwritten letter, ransom note, I don't care. Just let me know what you think and if you think I missed the mark on some of these. Now, let's move on to the greatest sports betting podcast segment in the entire world. You already know what it is. I'm going to bring in my degenerate gambling brother, Timmy KGB, in just a second here, because this, what we're about to do, this is Major Wager. Hey, Tim, you there?
Hey, bud, what's up?
What's up, dude? How you doing?
I'm good, man. What's up? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. Made our way down to Jacksonville, Florida. How was your Thanksgiving?
Love it. It was good, man. Lots of turkey, lots of family time, lots of falling asleep on the couch. It was just a red-blooded American Thanksgiving, baby.
Yes, it was, and plenty of boring football to fall asleep to. Not
Sure.
not a lot of good games on
Yeah.
Thursday.
Come
How
on.
about today? How'd your bets go today?
It'll really hinge on this Ravens game. Got the Ravens money line with Lamar scoring a touchdown. So let's see.
I got Lamar in my fantasy team, so we'll both be
Okay.
rooting for the same thing there. It's gonna be a good one. I like the Chargers every once in a while. They blow it all the time, but they can every once in a while on a Sunday night, Monday night, they can give an exciting game. But
They're on my list of do not gamble. I have to put it up on a post-it note in my office, like do not gamble on the Chargers, no matter what.
you have it in the shower when you open up the curtain. Do not gamble on the Chargers. Just everywhere you go, in
Pretty
your
much.
car, on the visor.
For real, it's a rule.
Yeah, it's a good rule.
I have it like on the like in one of those like live love lake signs, like when you walk into my house, just no gambling on the Chargers.
I love that.
Yeah.
Before we get into the major wager, what do you think about the Celtics? We had a 4-game week this week. What'd you think about what we showed the world?
Yeah, I mean, kind of a mixed week, right?
Yeah.
We had. I thought the win against the Bucks was great. Honestly, like I know everyone does, but like Lillard rallied that team in the fourth. It was like, okay, let's go, and we came out with a great win. This is a statement win. That team's still figuring it out, the Bucks, that is, but I thought it was a really good win for us. And then we followed it up with a stinker in Orlando, which is so typical. And
big time stinker. Big time stinker. Well, I actually want to ask you about the Orlando game real quick. It was the in-season tournament, and I don't know about you, but I had it marked. I wanted to watch it. It was a 2:30 game, and there was a little bit of playoff watching Luke in this, like watching the game. I really wanted to win that game.
Oh, I know. I was receiving your text messages, but me too. But I had it marked for a different reason. Like, I don't know. Like the loss to me was super predictable, and if I was in the habit of gambling against Boston sports teams, which I'm not, I would have gambled on the Magic in that. I mean, it's like a 2 o'clock window. I don't know. And the Magic are good. I think they were 10-5 when we played them, and I just think that's a classic opponent that we would disrespect, and so it was frustrating, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think it was necessarily telling about this team. It's just like lapsing into old habits and hopefully not a pattern. But yeah, it was a frustrating loss.
Yeah, well, at least we bounced back tonight. We played pretty well against the Hawks with, again, no Porzingis, no Holiday. Holiday out for the second straight thing. It doesn't look like a big deal with him, but looks like Porzingis is out at least 1 week, so we won't have him for the foreseeable future. But we bounced back. Tatum looked great. He had 35 or 33 points in this game, and he had like 11 of those in the fourth. So yeah, we had to bounce back. I don't think the Magic game is telling, but the Magic are 4-0 against us, and they are second in the Eastern Conference right now. So if we were to find ourselves, if they make it into the playoffs and we're a 1 or 2 seed and they're like a 7th or 8th seed, and we find ourselves there in the first round, I'm not going to be too happy about that.
Yeah, there are certain teams like that, right? And the Knicks were that team last year for us. But I think it's more about us than those teams.
Yeah.
It's our attitude about those teams, the way we approach the schedule. It really does feel effort based, but
hell yeah, dude. Well, let's get into Major Wager. For those of you who do not know, Major Wager is the best sports betting podcast segment in the entire world. It is where Timmy and I go head to head every single week. We place one single bet. Has to be one single bet, but it can be a parlay, it can be a straight bet, whatever it needs to be, but it has to be one single bet. We started out this season with $1,000 each, and we've been betting and losing that money ever since. So we each have $500 left out of our bets. Last week, I bet 150 and Tim bet 100. Tim, talk about your bet last week. Neither of us hit, so we both lost that money. But what do you think about yours?
Well, first of all, Louis, we stink. Okay.
Yeah.
We stink so far. I mean, look, week 1 was the future, so that's in the future. Okay. We don't know what's going to happen, but yeah, weeks 2 and 3 were bad. But that's gambling. My bet this week was good. I liked it, and I still like it, and I think I should have won it because the Minnesota thing, I covered that easily. I forget the score of that game, but the Chiefs game was so frustrating. I think you even texted me and said, "Oh, you're gonna win this week." Don't be so sure, but like someone has to tell these Chiefs receivers that they have to catch a ball every once in a while.
They are plagued with drops and turnovers. I mean, Mahomes has, I think, 10 interceptions or something like that. The whole team can't do anything besides give the ball away. But their defense is still best in the NFL. I think it was a good bet. My bet, I immediately regretted. I was watching the game and I just checked the box score at halftime of that Houston Rockets. I had the Houston Rockets over the Warriors. And I just immediately was like, why did I do this bet? Like, it just immediately occurred to me that especially off back-to-back for Houston, and it was not a back-to-back for the Warriors, and Steph has been playing so well, and then they didn't have Draymond, but as soon as the game got started, I knew it was a bad bet, and then it went south. They lost by like 15 points or something, and of course I lost the bet outright, and we both lost our money.
Yeah, that's all right. We're going to straighten it out this week.
Yes, we are. So let's get into that. Let's get into next week's bets to look forward to. Timmy KGB, aka Timmy T-bone steak, extra rare with no sauce, not even hollandaise sauce. Give me your bet for next week. What do you got?
Okay, so needless to say, like we need a win. All right, so I've sort of eschewed all parlays and all same game parlays and cross sport bets and all this.
Trying everything.
I'm giving us a straight bet against the spread. Like,
ooh,
no bells. My bet is the Pelicans -3.5 against the Utah Jazz, paired with nothing. That's it. Single bet. So I'll talk a little bit why I picked that. So looking at the Pels, they're playing quietly playing really good basketball right now.
Yep.
Won 6 of their last 8, including nice wins over the Mavs, the Nuggets, the Clippers. And those 2 losses were against Minnesota and just recently, because they have a home and home, against the Jazz, who they're playing against. Luke, can you guess what was the common denominator between those 2 losses out of the last 8 games?
I can't guess, Tim. Tell me what it was.
No Zion Williamson.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Zion has been playing well, and he just dropped 32 2 games ago. He's sort of he's looking really good, and the team has been winning when he's on the floor. So he did not play that Jazz game, and I just like the Pelicans to win and to win easily with Zion back. Also, Larry Markkinen has been day-to-day with a hamstring thing, didn't practice Sunday, so maybe we get a late scratch there. Feeling good.
Oh, so, yeah.
That's
I like it. And that's it.
Money I'm going to put on it. How much do I have, Lukey? Tell me.
You have $500. Both of us right now are even deadlocked at the midway point. $500.
I'm going to put 200.
Ooh, that's why they call you Timmy AGB. That's why they call you T-bone steak, extra rare, no hollandaise. That's why they call you that. 200, really?
Yeah, really.
We're really going to that. All right. I like it. With my bet, I'm going to go kind of opposite of what you're doing in order to try to make more money. And maybe I'm just being stupid. That's how they get you.
Chasing your losses, and they say you definitely should do it.
That's what they say. That's what you say, at least to your opponent here on a major wager. So I'm doing just the money line. I'm doing 2 games, but I'm just doing the money line for the Utah Jazz. So I'm picking the Utah Jazz to win the game. Yeah. So
I love it.
My main reason is because CJ McCollum is out for Monday's game.
He's been out.
I know he's been out, but against that team, they already lost once to them. And I think that CJ McCollum, they look great with Zion on the floor, but I think CJ is that second level player for them. And I think Utah Jazz might have their number, and I think they're going to come out there and beat them again. Teams have been losing 2 in a row to the same teams all year long because they're packing the games in close. And that's been happening. I mean, even I forget who it is. The Kings lost 2 in a row to the Pelicans. And then there's one other team that recently has lost 2 to the same team in like 4 games. So it's a trend in the NBA, and I'm picking that trend. So that's why I'm picking the Utah Jazz. And then I'm also picking the Portland Trailblazers to cover the spread against the Indiana Pacers. The spread is 11.
Okay.
So
they beat the Bucks tonight, right?
Yeah. So I'm picking them to beat that spread. I think that they're still going to lose. That's why I'm not picking the money line, but I think they're going to beat the 11-point spread. I think it's going to be a little bit closer. 11 is a lot. So it is long odds for both of these, but I'm only going to put down $100, and that would win me $426. So again, going for the big swing. The Utah Jazz money line is at a +136, and the Portland Trailblazers is at a -110. So I'm putting $100 down to win 426. Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, Luke, you're like you said, we have very different strategies this week. I'm just trying to, crawl back in, make one bet I think will actually cash. But if you win yours, hey, okay.
If I win mine, I almost come all the way back to 1,000.
Well, one of us has to win one eventually. I mean, we'll go on a win streak. They say gambling's a disease, but it's the only disease where you can win a bunch of money. So that's
Yeah,
that's Norm
exactly.
Macdonald. I can't take credit for that.
No, you can't. That's well, I know that if we do go under 100 or under 1,000, if we go past 1,000, meaning if we keep losing and just keep
Yeah.
losing money, we can always ask Daddy for more money.
Ooh,
Shout out to Daddy. Daddy Irwin can always give us just a couple $100 to go to the betting store.
we'll have to change the name of the segment, maybe. Daddy's dollars.
Daddy's dollars. I like that. If we drop down below zero in our betting, we have to call the segment Daddy's dollars. I like it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I like that a lot.
A little bit of shame and humiliation would be good for us, I think.
All right. Well, hell yeah, dude. I love these bets. I like that we're again betting on the same game, but a different bet for it. So we have something to actually watch tomorrow. I'm super excited, dude.
Can't wait.
All right, dude. Well, this has been good. I'll talk to you soon, and may the best man win.
All right, man. See you soon.
All right. Peace, dude. All right, another great episode of Major Wager. Thank you so much to Tim. Made some great picks. We keep losing money, but who cares? We're going to move on to the next one. Before I sign off, that's all I have for you today. But before I sign off, I'm going to recap, like I always do, the upcoming games in the NBA to look forward to and the upcoming schedule for the Boston Celtics in this coming week. So let's go ahead and first start with the NBA games that stood out to me. So tonight, the LA Lakers go to Philly. That should be an interesting game. And then we look ahead to Tuesday. Tuesday will be the final day for group play in the in-season tournament. So it's the final day of group play games. A lot will be decided as far as who moves on to the knockout round. We'll talk about that in next week's episode. Or the Thunder go to the Timberwolves. Tons of young talent, athletic talent, and like I talked about before, competitive talent. So that'll be a really high-octane game. And then we also have Houston going to Dallas. Frisky Houston going to Dallas, see if some Luka magic can't be pulled out. And then we have the Bucks traveling to the Heat. And then Friday, Denver goes to the Suns. Battle of two top teams in the West. And then we have Philly at Boston on Friday as well. And as for the Celtics games, we just have two. Light week, which we needed this. We've had 2 straight weeks with 4 games in each of the past 2 weeks. So only 2 games this week for the Celtics. On Tuesday, like I said, is the in-season tournament wrap-up. Celtics play the Bulls. The Bulls come to Boston. That's a huge game. We need to win that if we need a chance or want a chance to play in the NBA Cup. Obviously, we lost to the Magic, so we need to win this game and win it by a lot. Point differential in the in-season tournament matters. And then the best game of the week for the Celtics, the second and the final game for the Celtics, is Philly at Boston. So Philly comes back to Boston. This is the 3rd matchup between Philly and Boston this year already, and we're only a month into the season. So we got a lot of Philly-Boston action, and that is on Friday. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to sign off. Thank you, guys. This has been The Dribble.